true scared. It was not crying or nothing.
So I want to talk about the case of Alexee Trevizo. Welcome to my channel, Outspoken Samantha. If you are new here, welcome. I would love it if you would hit that subscribe button. And if you're returning, welcome back. I truly do appreciate your continued support on my channel, and I hope that you are subscribed as well. So we're going to shift gears just a little bit today, away from the things that I normally talk about. As I've mentioned in a few of my videos in the past, I do watch a lot of true crime content, and I wouldn't say that it's because I find it entertaining, but I think that the general consensus amongst people that do watch a lot of true crime content is not because it is entertaining, but because actions and the behavior of these people and the mindset that would drive them to do some of the things that they do is so foreign to most of us. It's just so far away from how most of our brains operate that it's fascinating. We want to know what happened. We want to know what drove them to do it, and we want to know the outcome. So we're very interested in the story surrounding the situation and not just the gory, bloody details. And just a little side note, if you do have favorite true crime channels or podcasts that you listen to, drop them in the comments below. I have to say that my personal favorites are Stephanie Harlow, Annie Elise from 10 to Life, and Emma Kenny. And I appreciate that what these creators do is not just focus on just the brief crime that happened, but actually the background of the people that were involved, where they came from, what their life experiences were, kind of what the history was, even going back so far back in the history of their parents, and just kind of what built up to the situation that they found themselves in. Before I get into any of it, I do want to give a trigger warning because the story does involve the death of a newborn baby, and I don't want anybody to be blindsided by any of the things that we talk about here. So like I said, we're going to talk about Alexee Trevizo because I was so completely astounded by this person, by her handling of the situation, by her total denial, it seems like, of her own actions. And not only that, the callousness of her own mother. And both of them seem to be just in this place where they don't want to admit that this was her child and a grandchild that was affected and that was lost because of the actions of Alexee herself. And I also want to say I'm not going to go into as much detail as other creators have gone into, so if you want a more detailed description of what happened, I will leave a few links in the description box of some of the videos that I have watched that were far longer than what I'm going to go into today. So this is Alexee Trevizo. At the time of the situation, she was in high school, though she was 19 years old. She was attending high school in Artesia, New Mexico. She was on the varsity cheerleading team, and she'd had a boyfriend at this point for about 3 years. And she apparently lived with her mom, her stepdad, and her sister. So on January 26th, 2023, Alexee woke up around 11:30 p.m. and told her mom that she was having severe back pain. So her mom took her to the emergency room at Artesia General Hospital. Now, the doctors originally thought that Alexee perhaps had a urinary tract infection or perhaps something going on with her kidneys. And while chatting with her and trying to figure out the course of action, the doctors did ask Alexee if she was pregnant. She said no and repeatedly insisted that she was a virgin, and her mom, who was in the room with her the whole time, chimed in and vehemently insisted that there was no way that her daughter could be pregnant. And if you've watched any clips of the body cam footage from every single interaction that you see between Alexee and her mom, the dynamic between these two is very much where the mom still sees Alexee as this little girl and treats her as such, even though, as I said, Alexee is 19 years old and she is technically an adult. And I think that we can see the effects of Alexee being treated like she's a little girl, because when you are treated that way, no matter how much you physically grow out of your childhood, you will probably still behave in a lot of ways as a little girl. We can see in the interactions, if you do watch the body cam footage, that there is an absolute lack of maturity for this person. And I honestly think that how she was treated and how she was raised probably has a lot to do with that. It's not to say that I'm going to blame her mom for the actions of Alexee, because she's an adult and she is her own person and she is responsible for her own actions. I'm just saying that you can see how she's been perhaps raised by a mother who did not prepare her to accept adult consequences of adult actions. Again, they're in the hospital. She insists she's not pregnant, but they do a pregnancy test anyway, which is pretty standard protocol when you're treating young girls, because there's a chance that they might be pregnant and not know it or be lying about it. But the medical team has to know, because if there is a chance that she is pregnant, this significantly narrows down the diagnosis for why she might be in pain, and it will also impact the method of treatment that they use. About an hour later, the test does come back positive, but the doctor hadn't had a chance to go in and talk to Alexee about it. And there has been some recollection issue, because at the time that they interviewed the medical staff, it was a few months later. So they don't entirely remember if they had talked to Alexee about the pregnancy test before all of this played out. So there is a little bit of discrepancy about exactly when that conversation was had. Either way, we don't actually learn that Alexee is pregnant until she gets this sudden urge to go to the bathroom, which, if you've ever been in labor, is your body telling you that the baby is on its way out and your body is trying to push.
Hospital surveillance video shows Trevizo leave her patient room at 1:38 a.m., waddling toward the bathroom while clutching her back. Trevizo remains in the bathroom for 19 minutes as multiple people check on her.
I knocked on the door and I said, "Are you okay?" And she said, "Yes, I'm fine. I'm just having a hard time going to the bathroom," is what she replied. So I was like, okay.
At some point I went and kind of checked on her, knocked on the door, seen if she needed anything. She denied. She said she didn't need anything.
Did you hear anything?
I didn't hear anything.
Flush, toilet flush?
Yes, after a while I started hearing, so I probably checked on her 2 to 3 times, I'm not exactly sure. And I knocked again, did she need anything? Denied anything. And then eventually it got to a point where I said, "You need to come out." And I asked the clerk to get the key to unlock the door, because obviously she locked the door to go to the restroom. And whenever we finally had the key to unlock it, she opened it and just kind of walked out.
Did she say anything at that point?
She didn't say anything. She was just looking kind of straight past me and went back to the room.
Surveillance video captures that moment as Trevizo leaves the bathroom and heads back to the patient room. It was then that hospital staff got a look at the bloody bathroom for the first time.
It was like blood everywhere, like on the walls, on the toilet. It just looked like a horror film.
I can't get past how casually she just walks out of the bathroom. She's washing her hands like it's just any other day, like she didn't just give birth to a baby. And moments later, people go in there and they see something that looks like just a horror scene. I believe she was in there for maybe less than 20 minutes. I know that her mom had initially asked if she was okay, and Alexee still didn't open the door. Her mom left and then came back about 10 minutes later to check on Alexee again, and she again did not open the door. As we've seen, there were numerous medical staff that went and knocked on the door to ask her if she was okay, to ask her if she needed anything, and there was no response. And all they could hear was the paper towel dispenser and the toilet flushing over and over and over again. And at this point, the staff did know that Alexee was pregnant, so they were concerned that perhaps she was having a miscarriage and she needed help, or that she might be hurting herself because she didn't know what to do with this situation. But after all that, she just walks out of the bathroom and tosses the paper towel into the trash can. So at this point, they didn't know what had happened. They know that there's this teen girl just walking out of here like she's totally fine, and they've got a bathroom covered in blood. So they did call the cleaning staff to come and clean up the bathroom. There was a cleaning lady that went in there. She's cleaning up. She looks into the trash can. She doesn't think that there's anything in there until she goes to pick up the trash can and realizes how heavy it is. So the cleaning lady yells for a nurse to come in and to check out what's going on. And she goes to move it and she's like, "Oh my goodness, definitely heavy for a trash can that looks like it's completely empty." So they do remove the liner, and initially they saw a bunch of liners balled up on top of it, so they couldn't see anything until they moved those things aside and discovered that there was a newborn baby boy in the bottom of it, wrapped in a plastic bag, and he was not alive anymore. So then the hospital staff called the police to let them know what happened, and this is how that all played out.
We discovered a dead baby in the bathroom. Oh my gosh. I'm sorry. He came out at me and I didn't know what to do.
Lexi, I told you about this. I just asked you, baby, to tell me the truth.
Scared. It was not crying or nothing.
What did you do to it?
Okay, stop right here. Stop. Number one priority, guys. Number one priority is she just had a baby. I don't know if she's delivered the placenta. She's bleeding significantly.
Yeah.
I've spoken to the obstetrician at Loveless. They want her out there as soon as possible.
Okay.
I obviously need your permission to transfer her for medicals. She needs to be
She's 19.
Oh, you're right.
But she is a student too.
She's
No,
still
but
19
you're
years old.
right. You're right. She needs to. I'm sorry, I forgot she's 19.
Keep out of me.
But you need to make sure that you're safe. I need to send you to Loveless to labor and delivery. Will you please agree to that?
Yes.
Okay, great. I'm gonna work on that. In terms, I'm sorry about this, but in terms of delivering a baby and it looked like you tried to hide it, we do have to have the police involved.
And nothing was crying. It came out with nothing.
I know. But the baby's gonna have to be taken for autopsy and there'll be an investigator and everything. I'm really sorry, guys. I'm sorry.
Do you guys have, I'm the charge nurse here, do you guys have any questions for me?
Like, how big is the baby?
It's full term.
What? 9 months? Nothing was crying. Lexi, have you watched the news of the girls that what they do to their babies and what they go to jail? Nothing was crying.
That whole interaction was just weird. Notice how both the mom and Alexee keep calling it. What did you do to it? And Alexee says more than once, nothing was crying. She says, it just came out of me. I also noticed that she went from tears in her initial reaction to no tears to tears again when she was told that the police would have to be involved. And then when she realized that there were probably going to be consequences. When the mother asks how big was it and the officer says full term, she says, what? 9 months? And then she says, Alexee, I told you about this. And I have to wonder, what does she mean? I told you about this. Does that mean that she'd had a conversation about being pregnant before, about what to do if she was? To me, this means that they had some kind of discussion about pregnancy in some way or questioning whether or not Alexee was being honest with her. But notice how both of them are only concerned about the consequences of going to jail, not about the fact that Alexee literally just suffocated her newborn child. So through all the interactions with all of the protocols and the things that they're doing, they do end up transferring Alexee to another hospital, and the mom has to go out into the waiting room and wait for the rest of the family, including her stepdad, sister, and boyfriend to show up. And even the charge nurse here, which honestly, I think he was probably the most emotional about all of this, not to saying that the other nurses weren't, but he was just most baffled by their responses. And here he is talking about the reaction from the family as they are visiting in the waiting room.
Did they have any comments?
Not one.
Really?
I was really surprised not one person asked me about the baby, if it was alive, if it was dead, if it was a boy, if it was a girl. No one asked me anything. Not even, she didn't even ask. No, she didn't ask. The only thing she started doing was crying and started talking about she didn't know what to do. Not one. I've never seen I've delivered multiple babies and I've seen multiple miscarriages and I've never seen a reaction like that. And I don't even know what to say about that. I've never seen anything like it in my life.
How would you describe the reaction?
I think there was no emotion except for herself, and she really wasn't even crying tears. She was just, and the only thing she was upset about was that I think she was going to be in trouble with her mother.
There were no tears whatsoever from either of them. He's just completely baffled by this. As a nurse, as a charge nurse in the emergency room, I'm sure he's seen a lot of things, but he says, I've seen a lot of miscarriages. I've seen women lose their babies. I've seen what that natural reaction looks like. And there is no emotion in either one of them. Even if they didn't know, even if Alexee wasn't aware that she was pregnant, even though I 100% believe that she did know. But the fact that neither one of them had any tears, I mean, I can't even imagine being a grandmother and just finding out that your daughter suffocated your grandchild.
I don't even know what to say. I've never seen anything like it. I've seen women that are only married, or not married, but pregnant for 6 weeks and they lose that baby and they're a mess. You know what I mean? That girl went in that bathroom, made no sounds at all, and the baby came out of her. And had I don't even know how she functioned that way to do what she did and with no emotion.
And this is just a little bit of what happened in the waiting room.
I haven't spoke to her at all.
Okay, so like what's gonna go on? Like what's gonna happen with her? Like,
Haven't you watched the news and what happens to these girls when they go to jail?
So she's gonna get treatment before we even talk to her because she needs to be stabilized. So that's why she didn't life let it out.
okay.
Once she gets stabilized, we'll try and talk to her. The baby's gonna go up north for autopsy. More likely it will be done within the next day.
Is she gonna get detained after like she's released? How?
Get what?
Like, are y'all gonna take her into custody or anything like that? Like,
That depends on what the DA finds. We have to wait for the autopsy to come back to see what happened. Because right now with how everything happened, we're going to do an investigation, get more information from the OMI, Office of Medical Investigator up north.
There's still just not one question about the baby. And if you continue to watch these clips, the stepdad is actually pretty emotional about the whole situation, but he is the only one that shows any emotion whatsoever the whole time. And I just want to reiterate, they're operating on this idea that this girl did not know that she was pregnant. Yet this is a picture of her in her cheerleading uniform. So you guys tell me. So that all happened in January. So they had a case to get together. They had to go through the autopsy and just, you know, it's quite a process to put things together before you can arrest somebody, no matter how black and white that situation might seem. So this, the body cam footage says May 10th, 2023. So this is 4 or 5 months later. They are going to arrest Alexee at her home. And again, just more bizarre reaction from this family.
Up there?
You can go to the detention. Do you know where it is?
Everything? Okay, so what is she under arrest for?
She's over 18. She's got to talk to her.
I understand that,
Right.
Detective Gonzalez.
Right.
What is she under arrest for?
She is warrant for arrest. Okay?
For what?
That's all I'm going to tell you.
She put her baby in a trash can. There's no question about what she's under arrest for.
What do you mean that's all you're going to tell me?
She's over the age of 18.
I understand that, but I have a right to know as well.
And we'll tell you that, but we...
Okay, then let me know now.
Remember how I said that this mom is in total denial about the fact that her daughter is a grown adult. Her daughter is 19 years old. Her mom does not have a right to know anything.
Now, I'm giving you the cooperation. I told you answer my question.
We're not going to be rough with her or anything. We're just going to take her over there and book her.
Please don't be rough with her, please.
Just bring her out. You can be with her the entire time, okay?
You know where the public safety complex is? 3300 West Main?
You can follow us over there. I will take you there. You can follow me over there.
I don't see any tears. Again. So this is after her daughter actually has been taken into custody and her mom is getting the paperwork from the officer and just kind of getting the rundown about what's going to happen. And then the mom decides to make a special request.
You to her then, okay?
Okay, wait. Is she going to stay here? Are you leaving her here or are you transporting?
That's not up to me. It's up to detention. She should be calling you after she's done with booking.
Okay, are you going to isolate her?
Does she need to be...
Gary Mitchell just told me, because that's our lawyer, Gary Mitchell, and he said if he just wants to keep her safe.
Okay.
So if anybody finds out that what she did, what they think she did, or you know, and she doesn't want any kind of harm.
Okay.
So if you guys could isolate her, I don't want anything to happen.
No, I know what you're talking about. He wants her to be put in a special population. That's what that means.
Okay.
No, I'll make sure if she does go out, she shouldn't because this is through magistrate court here in town, and she should be seen tomorrow because it is non-violent. She has no pride.
Non-violent. She put her baby in a trash can. But the mom is asking for a special cell for her daughter. I'm just surprised that she didn't ask somebody to come in and sing her daughter to sleep and paint her nails while she was at it. I just have to ask in here. I've always kind of been fascinated with psychopathic and sociopathic behavior, which are generally people that don't have any real human emotion, and a lot of times they fake what they think the appropriate emotion for certain situations are just by mimicking what other people do.
But in terms of delivering a baby and it looked like you tried to hide it, we do have to have the police involved.
And nothing was crying. It came out with nothing.
I'm the charge nurse here. Do you guys have any questions for me?
Like, how big is the baby?
It's full term.
What? 9 months?
Nothing was crying.
Lexi, have you watched the news of the girls that what they do to their babies and what they go to jail?
I used to think that people were just born that way, but sometimes I wonder, can people be raised without that level of human emotion? Because that's what I see Alexee here demonstrating. I have no idea if that is something that she was just born without, or if it's because she's been raised by a narcissistic mother who doesn't seem to believe in any level of accountability. But I think that the thing that blows the mind of most people that hear this story is the fact that Alexee was in a hospital. She had medical staff at her fingertips to help her through the situation, to deliver the baby safely, to take the baby off her hands, because they are a safe haven hospital. They are a place where Alexee can leave her baby there, no questions asked. And the fact that Alexee is 19 years old. So even if she was in that bathroom and nurses were offering help to her, she could have pulled one of them in and said, this is the situation that I am in right now. I do not want you to tell my mom. And they would not have had to tell her mother what was going on.
The only thing that upsets me the most is I understand she was scared, and I think her mother had a big dynamic on her, and I understand that. I mean, I think her mother was probably pretty controlling. I don't know that. I'm just speculation. But she gave me no chance to save that baby. I had no chance, and that's not what I do. My job is to save lives, and I had no chance on that baby. She gave me no chance.
I think that this is the thing that is just the most astonishing about this case. I mean, despite the emotionless reaction from Alexee and her mom, and the fact that they are in total denial about the fact that she just suffocated her newborn baby and the mom just lost her grandchild, and there just seems to be total denial of the fact that this is about an innocent human life. On top of all that, I think the thing that people are just completely blown away by is the fact that she did not ask for help from the medical staff. This isn't the same as these girls who go into the woods and leave their baby in the woods, or throw their baby into a dumpster, or whatever it is, because that is heart-wrenching enough, and unfortunately there are plenty of those cases. This is a situation where she was literally in a hospital, just feet away from people that could help her with this situation and keep it as confidential as she wanted it to be, where there was zero need for her behavior and for her actions. And at this point, she seems to apparently believe that there should be no consequences for it whatsoever. And she seems to be completely oblivious to that fact that there were so many other things that she could have done, that of all the situations that a young girl with an unplanned pregnancy could be in, there's no level of understanding and no explanation that in this situation that is what she needed to do. I know that there have been more developments in this case that I don't have at my fingertips at this time, but I believe that the mom is actually opening a case to sue the hospital for their negligence and actually trying to blame them for what happened to this baby. I also know that before Alexee was even arrested, she went to her prom and she was smiling and she was happy and she was in a cute little dress, just carrying out her life like she didn't just carry out this absolutely egregious and heinous, despicable act. And it looks like her fellow college mates are having none of it either. Nearly 14,000 people have signed a petition calling on New Mexico State University to expel Alexee Trevizo, the teen accused of strangling her newborn child and leaving his dead body in a hospital garbage can. The appeal came days after a judge modified Trevizo's bail conditions to let her attend the university in person ahead of her October trial. And I have to say, when I first heard this story, I was 100% like, put this girl in jail, throw the book at her, throw away the key, like put her away forever. I'm on the fence at this point. I don't know if that is the appropriate action because she is 19 years old. Perhaps there is a means of rehabilitation. Perhaps there is a means of correcting her mindset and her absolutely callous and sociopathic behavior. But I would love to know your thoughts on this in the comments below. Please like this video, share it with others, and I would love to hear any case updates that you have. So also drop those below, and I will see you in the next one.